Hi everyone, I hope you're all having an amazing day. I bought the Canon R7 a couple of months ago, and even though I absolutely love this camera body, there are some issues with it that are worth taking into consideration before making a purchase. So let's jump straight into it. The first negative I'd say is that it doesn't support a vertical grip. For example, what I use for my macro shoots in the field, it doesn't seem to be much of a problem. But if you have, let's say, the 100 to 400mm telephoto lens on, it becomes quite front heavy, and having a vertical grip would definitely help. Also, if you have large hands, then holding the body is gonna get pretty uncomfortable quite quickly because your little finger will have nowhere to rest. I'm hoping that in the second version of the R7 they will rectify this. They will add grip support again, just like they did with the 70D, 80D and the 90D. My second negative would be the relatively poor high ISO performance. When you have to use a high ISO due to low ambient light or higher shutter speeds, or the combination of both, you will introduce a fair bit of noise. It is still considerably better than my old Canon 80D, which I virtually never used beyond ISO 1600, but with the R7, I'd say the threshold is around ISO 4000, where the grain becomes less controlled. This is due to the relatively small pixel pitch compared to full-frame cameras. The EDF is not bad by any means, but its shortcomings become quite apparent, especially when shooting at high continuous or high continuous plus modes at 15 frames per second when the mechanical shutter is enabled. The resolution is average at 2.36 million dots, and the refresh rate in smooth mode is pretty decent at 120 Hz, but the biggest issue that you will definitely encounter, for example, when you're shooting birds in flight and you're trying to track your fast-moving subject, are blackouts, which can be quite frustrating. It's not too bad, but it's definitely noticeable. This is due to the relatively low readout speed of the sensor. Having a stacked sensor, just like in the R3, significantly reduces and essentially eliminates this problem, but that comes with a hefty, much higher price tag. Now we have arrived at one of the most critical issues that comes up with this camera body. If you expect to shoot birds in flight or any kind of fast-moving subjects without any issues at the highest frame rate of 30 frames per second with the electronic shutter, then you need to start to dampen your expectations. Unfortunately, rolling shutter issues will occur in many frames, especially during panning motion. This is once again due to the relatively low readout speed of the sensor, and that is why I tend to shoot only with the mechanical shutter, which is still capable of shooting at 15 frames per second. The IBIS, the in-body image stabilization, works in conjunction with the optical image stabilization of the lens attached, but I have noticed quite frequently micro jitters and a little bit of drifting, especially when initially framing up the shot. Overall, it still works really well with my go-to telephoto lens, the EF 100 to 400mm, the second version, but for example, when I attach a third-body lens, such as the Laowa 90mm ultra macro lens, the IBIS doesn't seem to have any effect at all, and the wobble can be quite substantial. Hopefully a new firmware will improve upon this feature, which is essential when you intend to use third-party lenses. I also wish the IBIS could be turned off, disabled in camera, because at times it seems as if it was actually fighting the optical image stabilization of the lens. Alright, I'm gonna wrap this up now. So these were the 5 primary, main, most obvious issues that I have encountered using this camera. Don't get me wrong, I still love the R7, but if the aforementioned shortcomings or limitations are deal breakers for you, you should definitely look into other bodies that are more suitable for your photography needs. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed this video. Feel free to leave a comment, and catch you all very soon in the next one.